Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is Reservations, and I'm Rain Whalen.
And I'm Mungo Jerry.
Oh my god. Wait, what was that again?
Mungo Jerry?
Oh my god.
In the summertime when the weather is fine.
Oh, holy Jesus.
Yeah.
So, wait. Mungo Jeremy or Jerry?
Jerry.
Oh god. Okay.
It's the band name.
Okay. I swear, I was like, is he doing like another Malibu Jeremy kind of thing?
Not as such, no.
When I did the first supercut of all your names, someone was like, "Oh, that's really good." Like Malibu Jeremy was really good. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Well, don't talk him out of it. It is good.
So before we get going, I have a feeling that you want to talk about a movie you saw over the weekend.
I mean, yeah. So I had the opportunity to go see Weapons over the weekend, and it was so good.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it was so good, man. Zach Crager, it's, what a surprise. As a big fans, because you too, the Whitest Kid You Know, I would have never guessed that he would have gone into this realm of filmmaking. So that's really cool.
Have you seen the interview where he's talking about how he came up with the idea? And it's really interesting how he just started with like a sentence, that's how he like developed the story. It was just writing down like sentences that like he was like, yeah, so like we're following this teacher. Why are we following this teacher? Like the whole town is mad at her. Okay, well why is the whole town mad at her? Because all the kids from her class disappeared the night before. Okay, boom, that's my end. And it's just like, it's so fascinating that it's almost like something so simple that he was able to craft an entire story that not only, I mean, I haven't gotten to see it yet. I want to.
Good.
But that everyone has collectively said this is like the definition of modern day horror.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's really interesting. It gives you a lot to think about when it's over. It's a fun follow-up to Barbarian, because Barbarian, which is also so good. If you haven't seen Barbarian, you got to, because it's so good. That one's more like, intentionally trying to be ahead of the audience. By leaning into cliches and then subverting expectations of these cliches, right? This is a little more straightforward than that. It doesn't seem like, it's not trying to, at least for me, it wasn't intentionally trying to trick the audience, right? I mean, it's just, telling a story. It was very, very good. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Julie Gardner has got a big year right now. I mean, she had Weapons, and then a few months before that, she had Fantastic Four. So yeah, man. And then Josh Brolin. Here's what's crazy. I read that apparently, I think Pedro Pascal was originally supposed to be.
I also read that.
It was supposed to be Josh Brolin's character, but like had to drop out. Which I mean, he had Eddington, Fantastic Four, fucking The Last of Us. So I'm sure
Freaky Tales.
Freaky Tales. Yeah. So I'm sure he was just like, sorry, man. Like can't stay on. I did read that like only one actor that he cast in the movie stayed on throughout the entirety of like the SAG after strikes and everything. And because apparently like in an interview he was asked about it and he was like, yeah, that's my dog right there. that he stuck with him the whole time.
Who was it?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he was like a major character, but like enough for Zach to get give him a shout out. So, yeah. But so you saw something really cool. I also saw something really cool over the weekend. I watched on Netflix K-pop Demon Hunters.
I've heard. You know what? I'm not going to make fun of it because I've heard it's actually good. So
it's really good.
yeah,
I was pleasantly surprised because I had also heard, oh yeah, it's really good, and I'm just like, and I'd seen some of the memes already, and I was just like, I mean, why not?
yeah,
Like, because I've only had to work one Saturday this month, so I'm
nice.
like, you know what, I can stay up a little bit later. Like, what's this all about? And yeah, it was really good. I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, the animation is great. It's very, they use a lot of anime tricks that I like, but also kind of making it somewhat grounded in reality, like in terms of like the world that they live in. And of course, the big thing I got to give it is that they casted Korean actors to play all these characters. And the songs are bangers too, dude. Like, holy shit. Like, I told Ashley that like downloaded the soundtrack
Yeah,
because it was really good. I
I
was
bet.
really
Yeah, that's what I've
surprised.
heard.
And the thing I really liked, and I was telling Ashley that it has a lot of like cliche things of like accepting who you are and true friends will be with you, but like how they present it is just so unique and so kind of refreshing that you kind of forget that they are cliches. Um, but yeah, it was great. It was great too. I had a good fun time
Yeah.
with K-pop Demon Hunters. I think you should check it out and then get back to me.
Okay.
Um, because I could foresee you liking it. I mean, it's got a lot of really good voice actors in it as well. Uh, Daniel Day Kim is in it. Um, I looked up one of the girls, and she's been in a ton of stuff. But yeah, and they got Twice to do like their version of one of the songs
Mm-hmm.
for the end credit scene, which was kind of cool.
Yeah,
So no, wait, you listen to Blackpink. Never mind.
I do. Well, Haley does, and yeah.
Yeah. But that being said, so we both saw really good movies over the weekend. Sorry, I had a mustache hair in my mouth. Um, with that being said, buddy, are you ready to talk about today's movie?
I am.
Yeah. I do want to know before we hop into it, how excited you are to kind of dissect an almost perfect movie, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm pretty stoked. I, I, I have things that I want to discuss, and like things that I picked up on this time, things that I haven't really thought about, things from a 2025 viewer's lens. So yeah.
Yeah. So if y'all didn't tune in last week, which unfortunately we know you didn't, Michael Clayton only has 6 views.
That's a real shame because Michael Clayton's really good. So,
and I felt like we did a really good job. I always feel like we did a really good job.
yeah, it's true.
Anyway, this week we are talking about the 1985 John Hughes. I'm not going to forget his name again. John Hughes coming of age film, The Breakfast Club. Again, I bent my rule a little bit of picking criterions that I haven't seen. Like I mentioned in the tease last week, I was trying to decide on one of my criterions that's not on my list, and my eyes hit The Breakfast Club, and I was just like, we got to do that one. We have to.
Sure.
But yeah, so I haven't asked you this in a while, but do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
Yeah. I actually do. So the first time I saw it was on TV, so it wasn't like the
Oh no.
Yeah, it wasn't the unedited version. And it was the day I stayed home from school. I had wrecked my bike. I was riding my bike and I'd wrecked it pretty bad. And like my legs were all sorts of, they were fucked. I mean, my knees were just, it was awful. I didn't break
Just
anything or
mangled.
sprain anything, but yeah, it hurt, and so I stayed home. And I'm almost positive this was the year that my parents divorced and we moved in with my grandparents for a while. And I'm sure
Uh-huh.
that had something to do with it. Like, she just felt bad too. Like, she's like, he wrecked his bike. His family is falling apart. Let's let him stay home from school. So, um, and it was on like AMC or TBS or something. And I had seen clips of it before, bits and pieces, but I finally sat down and watched the whole thing, and I really liked it. Um, I felt like I had accomplished something by sitting down and watching The Breakfast Club from start to finish.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I really really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it even more a few years later when I watched it like on DVD. You know,
And saw that it was
yeah,
way more, not raunchy, but a little bit more adult
yeah,
than what you had previously seen.
yeah.
Yeah.
And mom always said that she wishes that, she could show this in school, you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
you could put it on for like, the high school kids or whatever. Now, back then I agreed with her. Now, not so much. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's classic. You know what I mean?
No.
Mom and I quote it all the time. We always say we're going to try out for a scholarship. We say, I want to try out for scholarship. We say that all the time. Uh, just the whole scene of them eating lunch is, just iconic. The whole movie's iconic, right? It's become
Yeah.
so ingrained in the culture and the overall lexicon of modern society. I mean, it's to even talk about it seems a little cliche because we're talking about a movie that's it's great and everybody loves it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. The first time I saw it, it was a particularly not good day at school. I think this was freshman year. I think.
I don't want to list.
Um,
I get that.
and it was not a good day, and I was feeling very down about myself and my place in the hierarchy and the food chain of high school. And mom was like, all right, come on, we're going to I think we went to the Centennial branch of the library before it moved,
Yeah.
and rented it. And mom was like, we're watching this movie tonight. I was like, I don't want to. And like mom had already showed me like a lot of 80s movies, of course, like, Ferris Bueller and um Inner Space and things like that. So but I was just like, mom, I don't want to watch some fucking 80s movie. I'm not in the mood. And it blew my mind. Like, I granted it didn't fix my mentality about high school, but it helped me understand more and understand that, like, it's okay that I'm not popular, and it's okay that I'm not where I think I should be,
Yeah.
and since then, like, I've loved it ever since. um yeah, so before I move on with that, I guess we should do our job just a little bit um with a synopsis. So, The Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club takes place on a Saturday at what was it, Sherman High School
Hmm.
in Chicago.
Yeah.
Sherman High School in Chicago on a Saturday. 5 students are subject to Saturday school, or detention, as they call it. Saturday school is, I guess, a more modern term. Anyway, and we follow these 5 students. Kind of lost my train of thought there. My bad. In this one Saturday, so we have Brian, the nerd, played by Anthony Michael Hall. We have Allison, the loner, played by Ali Sheedy. Claire, the popular girl, played by um, the love of my life, Molly Ringwald. Then we have the jock, Andrew, played by Emilio Estevez, and then, of course, the person who steals the entire show, John Bender, the burnout, played by Judd Nelson, who, again, steals the show. And we follow these 5 teens, even though I use that term loosely,
Sure.
because I did the math, and literally half of them were all in their 20s.
Yeah.
Anyway, we follow these teens on their detention Saturday, and just them coming to terms with who they are in the hierarchy of high school and what it means to be a part of these cliques. Also dealing with, you know, sort of the opposing force that is the dean of students, played by oh shit, I can't remember his name. I had it locked and loaded.
Paul Gleason.
Paul Gleason.
Yeah.
And kind of dealing with his opposition and him, and he who has already kind of put these kids in a box, and they're already feeling like in a box. And throughout the day, the walls start to come down, and they start to understand that they're all not different. Like, yeah, sure, they follow in different cliques, but they're not different. They all are fucked up. They all have quirks. They all are proud. Like that. Essentially, it shouldn't matter if you're a jock and I'm a nerd. We should be able to hang out, and who cares what anyone else says. And the movie kind of ends very triumphantly with all of them kind of accepting who they are and accepting one another. And that's The Breakfast Club. I yada yada through pretty much the whole movie, but it's because, I feel like to sit here and try to go through beat by beat, one, it would take forever. The synopsis would be an hour long. It would be the entire movie. But also, I feel like it's the story beats we really need to kind of dissect rather than me just being like, oh yeah, then this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that being said, where should we begin, buddy? Should we begin with the characters or begin with the or just detention? Just
Yeah. Well, the characters are sort of, when everybody gets there at first, they are very one dimensional. I mean, that's sort of the whole thing is they start out as one dimensional and they become 3-dimensional by disclosing more of themselves and opening up about like how they actually feel and how they feel in their place within not only, their high school, but, within their family dynamics as well and all of that. And so like, I mean, that's by design. So like,
right.
I the yeah, so this movie's obviously great. I I do love this movie. There's no question about that. This go around though, I had I had some trouble with any, and I get it, right? This isn't like, I think the 180s of Allison for sure. I'm not buying that, right? I'm not buying it.
Okay.
I'm not buying that Andrew's into that either. I'm you know what I mean? Like, I don't buy their connection this time while watching it, because sure, they have like a few moments together, but not a whole lot. And so like, it didn't make any sense to me that they ended up together at the end. Not like John and Claire, which I have more issues with. With John and Claire, and I don't mean to be this way. I don't want like I get it. Like it's, Hughes is condensing a traditional 80s coming of age film into one school day, basically, or just like one 8-hour period.
Right.
So like, we have to have those tropes of like people not liking each other, people, reconciling, and then people getting together and falling for each other, right? We have to have that in these movies, and that's what people like, and that's what that's what makes an interesting story, especially for these types of movies. But to have it condensed into 8 hours is, that's tricky, right? We're dancing around like sort of unbelievable territory here, um, where like I said earlier, mom said that she wishes that kids could watch this in high school, like in the school, right?
Right.
And yes, back then I agreed with her. Now I'm like, John Bender is he sexually assaults Claire and then sexually harasses Claire throughout the entire movie, right?
Yeah.
The assault was egregious this time. I am. I was like, I forgot. I forgot it was in the movie.
You forgot that he sticks his head between her
Yes,
legs.
dude, and I'm like, whoa, man. You know, so things are a little. That's a little dated, I guess. These films from the 1980s, these coming of age teen films, um, they they can be dated with stuff like that, right?
Uh huh.
Because yeah, I mean, back then it was even 10 years ago. You know what I mean? This was it. It's still seen as sort of funny. And like, oh, that John Bender. Oh my god. But now it's like, dude, call the cops, bro. Like, what is going on? Um,
uh, I love that we're really getting into this with you dissecting
yeah.
the the now the 40 years later problematic aspects of the
Well,
movie,
and I think that
which
I think that that's important because it's all about a movie's staying power. It's all about like, does it stand the test of time? In a lot of ways, it does. You know, um, they're not very specific about the time period that they're in, which is very beneficial in its lasting power. They're not talking
Mhm.
about like their their fucking Walkmans or their um their tape decks or um they're not talking about popular bands at the time. They're what I mean.
Yeah.
Even the song that they play in the library is that's fine. You know what I mean? It doesn't date the movie, right? Um,
Yeah.
and they're not talking about topical um things. That's a I need to be better vocabulary, but um they're not talking about things that are happening in 1984 when this movie was being filmed,
Mhm.
which again is very beneficial. It's just dated in some of the things and some of the themes, tropes, uh, some of the um, typical, not raunchy, but typical like um, sort of comedic moments. Um, that was fine back then, right?
Yeah.
Um, John Bender is he's tough, man. This go around was hard because times have just changed so much. And there's a lot of times where he is just the most charismatic person ever, right? He
Uh-huh.
is the coolest, the slickest, the smoothest. He's John Bender, right?
Right.
But then there are those moments where it's like, dude, again, like you should file a police report. Like that's not okay, Claire. Get out of there. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and defend that type of behavior, but I'm going to be real. It didn't bother me as much,
It did.
but
Yeah, it bothered me
maybe,
this time.
but that could be, this is a good perspective. That could be, you being a father and I'm not,
Maybe,
because I'm sure you would kill
of
someone
course,
if you heard this happening to Maya,
Judd
you
Nelson
know.
or not. Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Without fail.
Yeah.
Um but no, but I do see what you're saying. I mean, there are some things where I'm like, ooh, anytime they say the F word and not fuck,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm a little like, ooh, you can't,
Oh, I can't say that, guys.
you can't say that.
Well, relax, man.
Um, um, but yeah, I think it's because, for me at least, this movie has always kind of held up in the sense of the story of these different cliques learning about the other. And you're right, there are some 180s that it's hard to get behind. I can see that. I do
Of
100%.
course, there's a suspension of disbelief that needs to happen here, right? Again,
Yeah.
he is cramming he's cramming like Can't Buy Me Love, Pretty in Pink, 16
Say
Candles.
anything.
He's cramming all of that in 8 hours, where
Yeah.
these characters in these other films have, weeks,
Months
months,
and
right?
yeah.
And I get that. That's completely fine. It's just, I switch my brain to a different sort of to a different channel when I'm watching these movies for this show. So I
Yeah.
um
Well, here, you know what? I was going to say this for the end, but I feel like since we started with dissecting it this way, let me ask you this. Again, I was going to say this for the end,
sorry.
but I feel like no, you're fine. No, I think I think it's interesting to bring it up now. Do you think this changed anything though? Because we don't see what happens on Monday.
No, yeah, I agree.
Okay. The first time I ever saw the movie, I was of the mind, yes, this changed everything. This one Saturday forever changes them. They Monday they're not going to care what their friends say. They're going to, you know, they're they're just going to be friends like they always were. Over the years and over subsequent watches, I have gotten a little bit more, I guess, pessimistic. We're in the sense of like maybe it changed for a couple of days, but not forever. Maybe Monday they're like, yeah, like Andrew's like, yeah, me and John Bender, like we're tight, like we're like this now. And then again, more subsequent watches, I don't think it did change anything. I think we have this one victory for this one day, and then that's all we get.
No, yeah, I would agree with that. Because I've seen it. Like,
Yeah.
I have real life examples of this.
Yeah.
We I'm gonna try my best not to be super negative, and I'm gonna try my best not to be rude in any sort of way, but I'm gonna give you an example. Okay.
Okay.
Um and in this happens every time. Okay. So I'm Catholic, or was. Well, I am. I did the whole thing, so I am and always will be, right? I'm not practicing, right? So
Right.
Nana, if you hear me, I swear to God, oh my God.
Dude, she's gonna
Um
strike you down,
I know.
man.
She would too. So we have both in the high school um in the high school age, and then in the adult age, you have something called ACTS retreats. Okay. ACTS is an acronym.
Okay.
No, I don't remember what it was. Okay. And you would go
Okay.
from Thursday evening, okay, to Sunday
Okay.
morning. Okay. And you go
Okay.
in, we had this it was like a ranch area where you had lodging, you had everything you needed there. There was lodging, a kitchen, a meeting space. There's a whole lot of other stuff, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you would go there for that amount of time. Okay. You don't have your phones, right? You don't have access to the internet. You don't have, anything, right?
Right.
So you would be in this space for those 3.5 days or whatever, and all you would be doing is this one thing, right, which is church stuff. Okay.
Right.
So, and they have like these activities where they're like really intense things, right? you do adoration. I don't want to get into adoration right now, but it's like a lot of time for like intense prayer. Like you don't move, you don't talk to people, you are by yourself, you are doing this thing. They make these little like walks that you do at nighttime where you walk around, and there's places where you sit and you read stuff, and then you keep walking, you know what I mean? And it's very isolating, it's very introspective, it's right.
Uh-huh.
You give talks, right? Like if you're on the team, you give like a speech about something that's impacted your life and all of that, and it's very intimate, it's very intense, and it's very concentrated. Monday, you still kind of feel it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Monday, you're like, I'm gonna, like, this is who I am now, blah blah blah, whatever. Like these are like my people, like whatever. Tuesday, it's a little less. Wednesday, whatever. Thursday, it's practically gone, right?
Okay.
And that's what this is. This is that. This is a very intimate, very isolated moment for these kids.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they feel that way right now. You know what I mean? These guys are bonding through being rebellious. They're bonding through doing drugs, through vandalism, through these acts of like rebellion, like I said.
Yeah.
They're sharing things about themselves, why they're there, what, and more so, not just why they're there, but the emotional weight of why they're there, and the moments that led up to why they're there. I mean, they're really sharing like way more than I would have in this scenario. Like if this were if this were happening in real life, um
Uh-huh.
like those 5 kids would have sat in that library, would have not written anything, or written a whole bunch of swear words, maybe said one or two things to each other if they knew each other, you know, um,
Uh-huh.
and then sat there for 8 hours. That's what would have happened.
Yeah.
But of course, this is like a best case scenario. Like, what if these kids actually spoke to one another and got to know each other, and sure they bicker and they argue, but at the end they actually see eye to eye and they understand each other's perspectives and all of that. This is like a fantasy.
Yeah.
But that's what I think. I don't think anything changes. I think since it's also just one day, forget it. Tuesday, done.
Yeah. I would say the only thing that probably lasts would be John and Claire's relationship, because I was watching on my Criterion the 2008 documentary, and Judd Nelson even points out that like that Claire gives him her diamond ring or earring in front of her father,
That's true.
and he was like, and I know Daddy's not going to be happy about that, and I'm okay with that. So that's the only relationship I could see maintaining, because Claire's doing it as I mean, John is very intriguing to her because, you know, he's the bad boy, but also he does have this very vulnerable side that we kind of see towards the end of the movie. But I hate to say that she's going to use him, but she is going to use him just to piss her dad off because she relishes in that. So that's the only thing I can see not changing. Maybe, I guess, Andrew and Allison, maybe. But for sure, Brian, unfortunately, is getting left behind, which sucks. But yeah, I used to be more optimistic. I was like, no, like these guys are forever changed. Because I think you want to believe that this one day can change everything, especially in high school when the stakes, well, what you think the stakes are so high, you know. Um, but yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it changed anything. I think the only thing that's staying the same is Claire and John will continue to date, and I use quotes for that. Because again, she can get something out of him, which is a rise out of her father.
Well, and I agree. Yeah, speaking of being vulnerable, I think Judd Nelson steals the show,
Oh, for sure.
but I think that's also because John gets more, I think, more screen time than anybody else. I think he's a little bit more fleshed out than everybody else. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's because when he is introduced to everybody, he is a complete lost cause.
Yeah.
And we think of him as just this one thing, which is how we obviously we're supposed to think of that about everybody at first. But he's a little bit more fleshed out and a little bit more empathetic throughout the movie, because I think his sort of three-dimensional turn is more dramatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he is such a perceived bad guy in the beginning. But I think when he gets locked into that supply closet by Vernon, right?
Uh-huh.
And Vernon is berating him and threatening him and begging him to throw a punch at him. The look on John's face is heartbreaking, because this is what his home life is.
Mm-hmm.
He is genuinely scared, and he is genuinely, um, you know, felt, he's genuinely feels small in that moment, where Vernon does point that out, that he's scared, and he is, because this is what he gets at home, right? And
Yeah.
he's already described what home life is like. Um, and again, like that's a really big turn for us to see that, and I think his character is more fleshed out than anybody else's. Um, which again is why I think that when you think of the Breakfast Club, you think Judd Nelson.
I agree. I'm going to be honest, I kind of didn't think about that till now.
Mm.
Because you're right. You know, it is almost sort of like we understand his backstory more and understand him more, like why he is the way he is, because he's abused at home. And we don't really get everyone else's backstory. We get it in pieces here and there. Like Andrew has this overwhelming weight to, he has to win. His dad won't tolerate any losers, so he has to win. Brian feels this pressure of, I have to get good grades. Like if I get good grade, like like what he says, even if I ace the rest of the semester, I'm still a B. Claire is, she just wants, I guess, stability, maybe. I don't know. Claire's a hard one to
Yeah.
pin down. But then of course Allison just wants someone to care for her, but we get these nuggets throughout the film about each character. But John, we know and we understand. And I think maybe you're right. When you say the Breakfast Club, like, yeah, you think of the whole, but then your mind always goes to Judd Nelson.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh yeah, Molly Ringwald, Emilio Estevez. Oh, that's right. Judd Nelson's in that movie. That's right. Yeah. But you're right. I do. Yeah. Like I said, I never thought about that until now. I mean, and it's still tragic to hear these kids' backstories. Brian for sure, because mom, if you're listening, I love you, mom. My mom was kind of like that, where she really wanted me to get good grades, and she wanted me just to pass. There was no pressure of getting A's, but there was pressure of, I want you to pass.
Yeah, of course.
Which I'm sure any parent would want, but there was a little bit of that pressure where it's like, well, if I flunk this one class, then I'm screwed. And again, there's nothing against my mother. I love my mom. But I think it's also a way for Hughes writing for us to relate to one of these characters and um oh fuck, I forgot the word to
Empathize?
shit. No, it's like transpose, but it's not transpose.
Project?
Like I'm putting my project, there we go. That way we can project ourselves onto these characters and be like, oh yeah, I remember what it was like to have that kind of pressure or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, it is, like I said, it is kind of sad that all these kids sort of have a tragic backstory.
Sure.
But I think again, it's so that you can relate and project to this character.
I think,
But yes,
for me, the second best. So John is obviously, like, to me, the most fleshed out character. The
right.
second, I think, most well written and most understood by the writer, which is John Hughes, is Allison.
Okay.
So here's why I think that. Okay.
I thought you were going to say Brian for sure.
No. So Allison, to me, is so well understood by John Hughes because all of her actions make sense once you know that she's being neglected. So, like, she's not crazy just to be crazy, right? Like, she is doing things to get attention. She is doing things to stand out. She's doing things to get a rise out of people, because if she gets a rise out of people, they're paying attention to her. She is being seen, right? And so that's why she lies all the time. That's why she steals stuff. That's why, she is desperate for any sort of interaction, that she just shows up to detention. And obviously that's, at first it's like, that's hilarious that she didn't have anything else better to do on a Saturday. But it's also
so
tragic
she went to
because
detention.
she literally does.
Yeah.
And so I think that, John Hughes really understands somehow what it's like to be a neglected teen, right? Or a neglected child. It starts when she gets dropped off and she goes to say something to her parents and they drive off.
Yeah.
They don't even look at her. They're still straight ahead.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, and especially again when when Claire does the what's that one fucking movie? That one coming of age movie? Because your wife put it in my head, so I can't think of the original. But it's the movie where they make a bet about like turning a girl into the prom queen.
Oh, it's She's All That.
She's All That.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though that movie came out way after this one.
That's true.
But when Claire She's All That's Allie or Allison, it's the first time, like, I'm going to use the word you said of being seen, that she's being seen without having to do anything, just to be herself. Yes, she's been dolled up a little bit, but Claire really doesn't do anything that insane to her. Like, she doesn't cover her in makeup. She just does a little bit and gets her hair out of her face. And Andrew seems like he always sort of kind of gravitated to Allison, but then in that moment it was like, I am really seeing you for you. You don't need to be anything but you.
Yeah.
So I would agree with that. You son of a bitch, man. I really thought you were going to say Brian for sure.
No.
Do you not like Brian?
No, Brian's fine. I feel bad for him, and I also think it'd be so metal if he actually did like shoot himself in school in front of people. Like, that's metal, dude.
with a flare
Like
gun.
that's crazy, Um, like he was gonna go out like a
Next.
boss, which is nuts, right? Like,
Oh my
like
god!
that's the kind of thing that gets a full page in the yearbook. You know what I mean?
Holy shit!
Um,
Oh my god! Uh, holy fucking shit! I cannot believe those words just came out of your
it's
mouth.
crazy. Like when you think about that's what he was gonna do. It's crazy,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. He was gonna do it at
At
school.
school, like in front of everybody. That's wild.
Yeah, and it's funny that the smart guy didn't make sure the flare gun was
Or just
properly
using a flare
secured.
gun is sort of, not smart. Um,
Yeah,
all it would do is catch his head on fire. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's true.
I think. I mean, it might have killed him on impact. I don't know.
I feel like I think I asked mom about that the first time I saw the movie, and I was like, "Would that really have killed him?" She was like, "I mean, yeah, it
I mean, yeah,
probably would have killed
yeah,
him.
probably.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
depending on where."
To me, it was always like I felt like it was a mistake. He grabbed a flare gun. Like I guess it was all he had, but I don't know.
Well, and it's also where the fuck did he get the flare gun?
Who knows? They must have a boat or something.
And well, I mean, it is Chicago, so
Right, Lake Michigan.
people just
Maybe
have
they're, yeah.
people just have weird things, it is interesting that Brian and Judd Nelson says this. Uh, that Brian still is the one to write the paper. Like Judd Nelson said in the that 2008 interview where he was like, yeah, Brian gets the shaft. Like we're all coupling up. Brian is just the one writing the paper. But then he goes, but he is the smartest, and he would have made it sound really good.
Yeah.
And and I think it's more. I don't think John Hughes ever had a moment where Brian was going to get to couple off with Claire or even Allison.
No, I mean it's sort of not even in the question. I mean, you don't even think about
Yeah.
that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, sure. Again, one could look at it as like, yeah, I mean, that sucks. Like, all these teens are getting, some, getting freaky. And what does Brian get? A paper, But it's almost kind of like that's kind of all Brian needs, Yeah, and then I would say, if we're sort of still ranking the fleshed out characters, I would say the tie is Andrew and Claire.
Yeah.
Although in that interview, a lot of people were saying that John Hughes made Andrew such a relatable jock, and they're like, how did he do that? Like, because it is hard to relate to the jock character and archetype, really. But we understand Andrew's motivations, and we understand.
Yeah, Andrew's not like he's not a meathead. He's not. I mean, he's a little full of himself, obviously, but because he's constantly coming to people's defenses. I think that's what makes him so likable. Is because like anytime John is sexually harassing Claire, for instance, or being super rude to Brian, I mean, he's coming to their defense. Like he is like, dude, leave him alone. Like, watch it, bro. Like, whatever. Even when Jen Nelson is doing something like he's gonna pee on the floor, you know, Brian takes big offense to that. To this
Andrew.
day, sorry, I don't know why Andrew got so upset at that. There's a few things in this movie where I'm just like, I don't get that,
Well,
and that's one of the ones where I'm like, dude, just like relax, let him pee on the floor. You know what I mean?
Well, and before we move on to Claire, I do want to point this out. I didn't realize this. There was a ton cut out of the movie.
Right.
Like I have it up on my phone. There was so much cut out of the movie, and a lot of context, really. Um, although there's only two things. I have the list of the things that got cut. The only two things that like I wish they would have left in was one, Carl, the janitor, predicts where the kids will be in 30 years,
Mhm.
and I think that would have been devastating to leave in. Um, Bender will have killed himself. Claire will have had 2 boob jobs and a facelift. Brian will have become a very successful but die of a heart attack due to stress from a high paying job. Allison will be a great poet, but no one will care. And then Andrew will marry a gorgeous airline stewardess who will become fat after having kids. Um, I'm like, dude, that would have been devastating. Um, but I could see why they cut it. And then the other one, this is kind of dumb, but I was like, oh, they should have left that in. That makes perfect sense. Which is after getting the sodas, Bender shakes his can violently and places it among the 5 to see who gets the rigged one. Allison ends up getting it
Yeah.
when she opens the can, and yeah. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. Like, I don't know why they couldn't have just left that in, but
Um, yeah, that is interesting. Although they make up for it because he throws it to her.
that's true.
So
That's
I mean,
true.
whatever, but that doesn't matter. So Carl, that's a really interesting segue because in the very beginning, when we got the narration and we're just looking at things throughout the school, it turns out we're looking at why they're there, right? Why each person is
Mm-hmm.
there. Um, which I appreciate on a second watch. It's really cool. It's really interesting, and I like the sort of like prologue to the story we're about to see. One of them is Carl. Is a picture of Carl as his man of the year. So he used to be a big shot at the school, and now he's a janitor at this school. And you sort of wonder what happened, and if you were paying attention, um, you
Yes.
sort
Yeah,
of
I caught it.
you sort of wonder what happened to Carl and why he ended up in this space and how um and he obviously has made his peace with it and can take any sort of criticism that's thrown at him, like and one of my favorite moments comes from Carl um in the film is when he and John have this sort of subtle nonverbal moment of bonding is when Carl says that clock is 20 minutes fast. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and John's grinning ear to ear at that. Like he just likes that, Carl is sort of fucking with them um a little, and he likes that Carl doesn't back down. He likes that Carl doesn't just take these criticisms, you know? Um
Mm-hmm.
and they're sort of kindred spirits, and I appreciate that. I will never understand why he's only wearing one work glove. Um, and that, um, but nevertheless, um, I really like that moment with Carl and John. Um, and one more thing before I forget, this has nothing to do with anything we're talking about at the moment, but for the past, let's see, how old am I? I'm 32. For almost 20 years, okay,
Okay.
I have been racking my brain on what could have possibly been in that thermos because it is black. Um, and I'm like, that's not coffee, right? Like,
Yeah.
it might be supposed to be, but it is black. Um, and like, I've always just like, what is that? What is in that thermos that it looks gross, whatever it is.
Yeah. It's almost like his, I'm assuming wife. I would assume Vernon's married.
I doubt it.
Like, yeah, I doubt it. too, because he's
By
yeah.
the way, how depressed were
Um,
you that back then $30,000 a year was a lot?
yeah,
That
yeah,
like he's got a
yeah.
house and it's probably nice too, and it's like 30 grand a year is what he makes. Fuck.
Dude, I know, man. Yeah, when I first saw the movie, I didn't get that, but now I'm like, oh Jesus Christ.
Come on.
Yeah, I make 10 more than that now, and I can't afford this. But yeah, so okay. So Claire.
Sure.
I because I said I wanted to circle back to Claire. I I love Molly Ringwald.
I know you do.
Okay. I I love her so much. I mentioned that at work today, and someone was like, "Oh, like f- from like that movie?" Or just like I'm like, "No, I love Molly Ringwald." Um, Granted, yes, there is something about '80s Molly Ringwald that just like chef's kiss. But I love her. I love her dearly. I love her like now, even though she's old enough to be my mom. Um, Claire though is very interesting because it's almost like the lesson that she needs to learn is that being popular isn't all it's cracked up to be. You know, like when she when she tells Brian that your friends look up to us. And Brian's like, that's so conceited. How can you not see that's conceited, you know? Um, and it's like that's what Claire really needs to learn. That like, yeah, sure, she's popular, but what does that mean? Like, what is that? How is that like benefiting you? And I wish that we could have more of a fleshed out backstory like we do with Bender for Claire. I mean, and we kind of do. Like, she's convinced that her parents are going to get divorced soon.
Well, and they're emotionally manipulative, right?
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily abusive or neglectful, but they're using Claire as a way to get back at one another, which is obviously a form of like child abuse, I suppose. But they're just manipulating Claire in order to hurt the other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's her tragic backstory, which is in and of itself tragic. Um, but no, I agree. I think that her character isn't as fleshed out. I think that yes, she does sort of live in this bubble of being popular and being wealthy, um, and having that sort of shown to her. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's not saying that to Brian to be mean. She was saying it as because she thinks of it as a fact. Like that's just isn't that right? And it's like no, like
Yeah.
that's crazy. And I don't think she realizes that that was wrong. Um, she genuinely felt like she is in this friend group and this this clique and like people like them, and it's like, well, nope, no,
Yeah.
we don't want to be like you, man. Like you're mean, you know.
Yeah. You're mean. Um, yeah, but that's not to say that of course Molly everyone, but especially Molly's performance wasn't great. It was so fantastic. I just having now getting all this out on for the show, like I do wish that we would have gotten more from Claire. Um, but again, that's not to say that anyone's performance was less than um, or anything like that. Um, Now that being said, I just realized we haven't like really talked a lot about Vernon because I guess in a way he is sort of our antagonist. Um, he's definitely an asshole. Uh,
Yeah, I don't think he has any redeeming qualities at all. Like that would have been really interesting if we had had some sort of um moment of redemption for Vernon would have been really interesting. But that wasn't really popular then. Like, having a villain have an empathetic motive or backstory or whatever, like, that was not popular then.
Right.
So, not to say it didn't happen, I'm just saying, like, for movies like this, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So Vernon really just is just an asshole.
Yeah. You know, I said it out loud. No one was listening. Ashley was working on stuff, so she wasn't even listening, but I said it out loud. You know, when he threatens John and then calls him a gutless turd. I'm like, yeah, says the grown man threatening a,
Yeah, I know.
we're going to believe a 17-year-old
Sure.
minimum.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, yeah. And he's the gutless turd because he doesn't want to hit you. Even though I did mean to circle back to this, even though there's that look of fear in John's eyes, there is that look of, this is my chance. Like, I can hit him, but I'm not going to because it's not worth it. And he knows it's not worth it anyway. You know, and I love, speaking of Vernon again, back to Vernon. I'm trying to stay on topic. I love that John Hughes tries to give us sort of like a little bit of redemption for Vernon, but just to have Carl remind the audience, like, no. Which is when they're sitting there talking in the basement, and Vernon's like, you know, like, these kids turned on me. I've been in teaching for, what does he say, like 15 years or something like that, and like, you know, like, you making it seem like he wanted to be a teacher and wanted to mold the minds of the youth, but then, like, again, having Carl there to give him perspective, but also to remind the audience, like, hey, Vernon is not a good person, which is like, you know, these kids didn't turn on you, you did. And then with Vernon, again, of course, with Vernon's whole, like, you know, these kids are going to be taking care of me. And Carl's goosebumps walk away, just, no, they won't. Like, it's so good. It's so good, man. Because again, I think it's John Hughes telling the audience, like, yeah, no, this guy is who he is, and who he is an asshole. And I think it was also John Hughes's way of, like, showing the movie studio, like, yeah, I'm doing something different with this teen movie. Because I did read today that apparently he got a lot of pushback because there wasn't any partying, there wasn't anyone drinking, and there was no bare breasts.
Well, okay.
They're like,
So, well, let's talk about this for a second, because
okay,
I think that this film has stood the test of time so well. Number one, because of what I mentioned earlier about it not being so set in 1985, even though literally the film dates itself in the beginning of the movie by saying what date it is. But
yeah,
I think the other thing is, you know, the R rating benefits the film because these, quote, kids can talk like kids. They can talk like high school students. Like, they don't need to pretend like these guys don't swear, right? I
right,
appreciate that they're able to speak authentically like teenagers. And that is remarkably beneficial. And, you know, yeah, sure, they use some outdated slang or whatever, but all in all, I mean, it's pretty, you know, it's still, you know, people do talk like that. Kids, um, talk about, all of that stuff that, wouldn't be allowed in like a PG-13, or back then PG, I guess, movie,
yeah,
you know?
mm-hmm.
So I think that has a lot to do with it. But yeah, no partying, no nudity, bummer. Um, but it doesn't make sense for the context of this movie. I mean, they're smoking weed. I mean, what else do you want? You know?
That's true. I guess some Universal executive was like, "Nah, I want boobs and I want hardcore partying." And John Hughes was like, "Yeah, well, this ain't that kind of movie."
Yeah, no.
Um, and I'm glad for it. I mean, because we have other '80s movies that give us all of that. But I think The Breakfast Club, I think that would have been a more of a hindrance than anything.
It's also what
And yeah, and you're right.
separates it from the other ones, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, with that being said, buddy, are you ready to wrap?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, man. I love this movie, and again, this is the great thing about doing the show is that I now do sort of have a newfound appreciation for it because you were making me think about things. So I was like, he's got a point there.
Well, it's fun to talk about these movies that, seem like, I mean, what are we going to talk about? It's The Breakfast Club. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
is what it is, but it isn't. I mean, you can, there's ways to analyze these films that, you think don't have anything fresh to say or don't have anything interesting about them, and that's just not true. You can find subtle nuances and interesting ways of thinking about them in any movie, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, good job.
Yeah. Cool. Well, with that being said, buddy, you told me that you were very excited
Yeah.
to talk about next week's episode. And I asked you if I should be scared, and you said no, but it is daunting.
It's long.
Okay. So what are we talking about next week?
Okay. So next week, we are discussing, so it's interesting because it's going to be hard to find because I want to look up trivia or I want to look up reviews, right, of this movie we're doing next week, but it's gonna be really hard because the film that we're talking about is specifically the director's cut, because if you watch the original theatrical cut, it's just not good. It's one of the few examples where there is a true distinct difference between the director's cut and the theatrical cut. Okay. And where the director's cut is actually much, much better and is head and shoulders above the theatrical release, because not only does it, add more to the film, but it adds more context. It adds more nuance to characters and motivations too. I have not seen this movie yet, but we're about to. Next week, we are discussing Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay, and it's interesting. We've been kind of talking about that movie a lot because I've been seeing scenes a lot on like movie Instagram pages from the movie, and I know it just got like
the 4K release,
new 4K. Oh shit! Yeah. Okay,
yeah. So again, if you look up reviews, the reviews are terrible because they're about the theatrical release. But people who see the director's cut, it's like, oh my god, it's like a completely different movie. And it is so much better. And it is like a masterpiece. And you're like, good lord. But they cut out like an hour, So the theatrical cut's like 2.5 hours. The director's cut's over 3 hours. It's like 3:17 or something. So they cut it a lot for the theatrical cut. Yeah, this is one of Keegan's favorites too, so maybe we can convince Keegan to listen to next week if.
All right, that means he's gonna be on.
Yeah.
Dude, could you imagine if we got Keegan on? I mean, we've got Zach on.
Yeah, we've got Zach on.
So cool,
Kingdom of Heaven, man.
Cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah. That's crazy. I feel like we were just talking about that movie like a week ago. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. Well, everyone, we hope you enjoyed this episode on The Breakfast Club, and we will see you next week for Kingdom of Heaven.